Hey there, folks. Wanted to make just a kind of quick video here to talk about the 2022 Chevrolet Trailblazer. There are quite a few videos out there that have descriptions and reviews of this vehicle. I think that a lot of them, however, are missing some of the key points that deal with quality control and quality assurance, and there are definitely some issues I have with this vehicle. There are things that I really like about it, and there are some things that have just driven me into space over this thing. So, just a very quick background. I'm a professional driver. I work in the ground transportation industry. I'm involved in quality assurance with delivery of new commercial vehicles, and I have some background in what to look for as far as build quality, design, performance, and basically the way that these vehicles, any new vehicle really, should be coming out of the factory and arriving at dealerships and being delivered to people. So I'm by no means an expert. I'm not a paid reviewer. I think some of these review sites, I don't know whether they get compensated for their reviews or if there's kickbacks or anything. I don't know, right? But I'm just a consumer that has some background in the industry of vehicles and transporting and delivery and quality control. And I just wanted to give my thoughts on this because the 2022 Trailblazer is kind of an enigma. It's a bizarre vehicle. It is a global vehicle. It's produced in many countries and sold in many markets. And there are a few markets that sell Trailblazers that are a different model. It is something closer to what the current Traverse is. But for the purpose of this, I'm talking about the North American 2022 Trailblazer. This is a new model that was introduced last year in 2021. It is basically a small SUV, a compact SUV that is kind of replacing the Chevy Trax, which is another one that's being co-sold alongside the Trax, but really this is effectively probably the replacement for the Trax going forward. Background on me, I've always leased vehicles for the past several years. I've been a diehard Toyota customer. My previous vehicle was a Toyota Tacoma TRD double cab four-wheel drive. It was a great vehicle. The lease values on it were fantastic. Before that, I had a Camry. Before that, I had a Corolla. And so I've had really, quite a pretty good background with Toyota vehicles. But, the current vehicle market in the world is a dumpster fire now. And I went recently at my lease expiration for my Tacoma, turned it in. There was no inventory to choose from to get another vehicle. Pretty much the few models that Toyota had, they didn't really want to lease them. They were encouraging people to just buy them because at least where I live in Florida, if you're selling a vehicle, if it's got four wheels and an engine, somebody's going to walk in and just write a check for it or just buy it for cash. So leasing is not really very prevalent here in Florida. But I always like to lease. That's another video probably for another day, but we'll just get into this about the Trailblazer. So I went looking at several vehicles, several models around at the dealerships in my area. I stopped by the Chevrolet dealership here in Central Florida. I'm not going to tag the dealership in it at this point because my issues aren't really their fault. These are bigger issues, bigger fish to fry than what I'm dealing with than a specific dealership. But yeah, I stopped into a Chevy dealer. I actually had thought about getting something like an Equinox or maybe a Malibu. Well, they didn't have any. They said, we have one new vehicle for sale on the lot, and it was this thing. It was a Chevy Trailblazer 2022, had 14 miles on it. It is the high-end RS package, which is pretty much the top of the line. I'll give you a little look at the interior here. It's got all the accents in red and the leather. It's got power heated, driver's seat, heated steering wheel. It's got all kinds of gadgets, and it's really a hard loaded vehicle. I think the only upgrade that's available for this would be you can get an all-wheel drive version. I didn't really need that being in Florida. I'm perfectly happy with the regular drivetrain, and it has a CVT transmission in it. It's got a small engine, something I've not experienced before. 1.3 liter with a turbo on it. And so I mean, it's actually pretty adequate. My issues are not with the styling, okay? So I'll do an exterior walk around in a second. The issues I have with this vehicle are not the styling. I think they knocked it out of the park. The styling is amazing. I think that actually people have complained about the engine being underpowered. I don't know who's finding that to be the case. I don't think the engine is underpowered at all. I think the 1.3 with the turbo has got a really good balance between performance and efficiency. I mean, I can get in the high, like 37, 38 miles a gallon. Oftentimes I can eclipse 40 miles a gallon, depending on my driving habits and where I'm at. I suppose if you're on the highway, with your foot put in it all the time, you're going to find performance issues maybe. If you're trying to just hit those, high speed limits and aggressive driving, this probably isn't the vehicle for you. If you're a more moderate driver, I think you're going to find a good blend of efficiency and performance on these Trailblazers. Now, my issues are with build quality. And that's something I find with a lot of products and services right now. It's a quality assurance issue. And what do I mean by build quality? Well, about a couple of weeks into this vehicle, even at delivery, I noticed that the paint has swirls in it. It has, you pretty much look at this vehicle, it'll get a chip or a scratch. It's got a very, in my opinion, low quality, low amount of stage paint process on it. The paint is just bare bones on this vehicle. It looks nice, right? It's a black metallic. And I'll get out here and show you what I'm dealing with here, and we'll let you look at it from the outside here. Let me flip the camera around. So, pretty nice vehicle, right? It's a nice looking vehicle. This is a jet black version with a black leatherette interior. It's got a cloth leather blend, and it's got all the leather wrap steering wheel and shift knob and everything. Again, it's an RS, so it's a really nice trim level. But we've got paint swirls from delivery. If you even look at it, it'll scratch. Basically, the interior workmanship is just subpar. All the console where you would put your drink cups, the dash, the knobs, everything are cheap plastic. Things don't fit together the way they're supposed to. There's gaps in the way that the dash was put together. I've got a trim piece that is underneath the vehicle. Let's see if I can't really show you the thing because I fixed it, but there's a trim piece underneath the vehicle on the front end of it that has started to come loose and become unclipped. That's just absurd for a vehicle that has like 2,000, almost 3,000 miles on it. The cruise control stopped working after about 3 weeks. It's due to a problem with the brake pedal canceling it out and not being adjusted correctly. The charging plate, it has wireless vehicle charging in this vehicle at this trim level. That has never worked, or it worked for a couple of days and shorted out. So these kind of things to me are just unacceptable, but especially coming from a Toyota, I'm just shocked to see that kind of build quality. And nobody talks about that. None of these videos talk about the crappy build quality. And maybe it's not important to people. Maybe people are used to accepting, just junk vehicles. Like, I don't know, right? But that's what I wanted to kind of discuss a little bit here. It's just, it's shocking to me that the level of workmanship is that low. That I've got pieces of the vehicle coming unclipped, that I've got things that don't work on a vehicle. It's brand new. I've taken it back to Chevy to fix some of the stuff, and they're kind of like, well, it's kind of normal. Well, it is a Chevy. And I'm like, God, to hear this from the actual dealership is just astonishing to me, and I, again, love the styling, love the performance. It's fine. Economy is great, but I would never buy another Chevrolet after this thing. If you've got a vehicle that you're investing in, making payments on, and you've got pieces of it that are coming undone, and you've got features that just aren't working, and they're reluctant to fix them. They shouldn't need to be fixed, right? I barely drive this vehicle. I've had this thing for almost 4.5 months. I've got 2,000 some miles on it. It's unbelievable. So I just wanted to hear what other people's thoughts were. If you have a Chevy Trailblazer, if you have experienced these quality control issues, if it matters to you, right? Like, what are your thoughts? Because it's just driven me nuts to have to deal with these kind of little idiosyncrasies. I mean, am I a perfectionist? Well, I don't think so, But I mean, if you go into a restaurant and you order a steak medium with a baked potato, and this may be a bad analogy, but they bring you out a well done steak and some mashed potatoes, you're going to be like, well, yeah, it's food, but it's not what I ordered, right? So, and that's what I'm feeling about this vehicle. I mean, it's like nobody really cares. I have contacted GM about some of these things. They seem unresponsive. The response overall collectively from Chevrolet and from General Motors has been, yeah, well, we know it's a Trailblazer. If you wanted a better vehicle, buy a Suburban for $70,000. And I'm like, again, are you kidding me? These things aren't cheap, right? These things go for, they talk about the Trailblazer as being the $20,000 SUV. Well, that model was the LS that has been discontinued this year. I think you can get an LT for like 22 grand, and it goes up from there. These are anywhere from the high 25s to $27,000. So I wouldn't call this a cheap vehicle, right? But the interior workmanship is very cheap. I mean, you put your phone down there to charge it. Well, it doesn't charge because the plate's shorted out. You look at your vehicle. Oh, wow, trim piece is falling off on a brand new vehicle. Or really anything. Like I said, I've found several little idiosyncrasies like that, and not to mention the cruise control again. But is it a big deal? No, it's not a big deal. But if you turn on your cruise control on a brand new vehicle and it doesn't work, well, build quality issues. So anyway, I'd love to hear some feedback from that. Let me know in the comments what you think. If I'm overblowing this or if you've had the same experiences, we'd love to hear. So take care. Thanks everyone for listening to my little rant or my little perceptions on this. And we'll see you in the next video.